Where can you get that classic combination of salty air and New England charm? Right here on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Hi, I'm Tori Ritchie, and today we're going to visit this 100-year-old beach house that's owned by a food stylist who earns his living making food look beautiful for magazines and television. But in his charming kitchen, he makes cooking look truly simple. Just ahead. We'll visit a coastal kitchen made to cook a New England staple, seafood. We'll show you how to enjoy your summer tomatoes all year long. And we'll visit the home of renowned designer Fu-Tung Cheng to see what he values most in his kitchen. Sagamore Beach is filled with gray shingled houses, and most are only occupied during the short Cape Cod summers. But John Carafoli calls his cottage home year-round.
I have been told I'm the townie that made good. I grew up in a small Italian village across the canal, and I lived there most of my life. But during the time that I was a child, I learned to cook from a lot of the Italian women in the neighborhood. My mother died when I was 12, and after that, I found cooking was my solace.
John is a recipe developer and food stylist. It's his job to make food look mouthwatering for the camera. He even wrote a groundbreaking book on the subject. But John doesn't think a kitchen needs to look like a magazine layout to make a good meal.
This kitchen has been in progress for the last 20 years, since I bought the house. I keep doing things every year and making changes, and then this fall I'm going to be doing the tiling the floor.
He put in inexpensive beadboard cabinetry and added matching wainscoting in the breakfast nook to give this century-old kitchen a more authentic look. Fun collections like these 1930s ceramic fruit plaques add to the period feel. But when you see all the cast iron skillets and copper pots, you can tell right away that this is a true cook's kitchen. And John's designed his space to function for the way he likes to work. So this is your command central, huh? This is where it all happens?
Yes.
How come it works for you? Tell me about the setup.
Well, I love my open shelving. I love bowls. I can just grab them anytime I want. I love my mushrooms, my garnishing tools, my rolling pins, knives.
Butcher block.
And the butcher block.
Excellent to cut on. You've got a ton of it. There's butcher block behind you, butcher block here, and 2 ovens?
2 ovens, yes. My microwave, the electric oven, and I designed this and had somebody make this arrangement here.
So when you're recipe testing, you really don't have to move anywhere. You can just pivot around, and you can even grab utensils off a pot rack. Now that's a new one to me.
I can.
Accessibility.
Accessibility.
There's even a clear view of everything inside the fridge.
I had a regular refrigerator that was made for the home, but I couldn't see anything in it. I couldn't store anything in it. Whether you're a professional or a home cook, having a glass refrigerator door is really practical, and you can see everything at a glance.
John says his professional stove was a real find.
The local gas company had this range in a box. He was trying to sell it to the different restaurants around town. Nobody wanted it. He's been there for a couple of years. The next day he brought a picture over, and I said, that's it. I gave him $850 for this range.
For this?
For this.
It would be worth, 3 or 4 times that in retail. How'd you get it in here, though? This is a small kitchen.
Well, he told me that it wouldn't fit through the door, the kitchen door. And I said, well, by the time you get here, it will. And that night, manic as I'd get at times, I took an axe and a saw and I cut the hole in the door, and he fit it through the door.
John says it's important to fill your kitchen with things that have meaning.
Some of this cast iron came from my grandmother and my aunt's house, and then I started collecting it, and it's great to cook with, great to fry and saute in it. I love it.
And great to make pancakes in it. That's what I always do in mine. What about the fruit pieces up above? What is that?
Those, I started to see them, about 10, 15 years ago in yard sales. And I thought, well, this would be interesting if I could get, one of them won't work, but if you do a whole wall of them, they work.
Right, it looks like artwork.
Yes, and there's oregano over there too.
Hello, hello, Mr. Lobster. Or maybe it's Mrs. Lobster. I don't know. Tonight, John's making a typical Cape Cod dinner. Let me give this a little shake so it doesn't burn. No, smell that, honey.
When friends come from out of town, what do they expect? Lobster and seafood.
And some of that seafood is caught fresh from the beach he calls his front yard. Oh, we're going deep. We're going deep. Whoa, we hit the rocks. I see one. One's not gonna go very far, huh?
Here they are.
Today's catch, mussels. So what's the plan for these, John?
I didn't expect to get these today, but it's going to be an added treat to our little cacciatore that we're going to make, the hunter's stew.
It's gonna be the true local seafood stew.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm hungry, so let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Oh, thank you. Ah, that's how
This is the real way
That's
to
how
carry
the
it.
real thing
Cape Cod is too.
Yeah, okay. John says his lobster cacciatore is an old family recipe.
This came from when I was a child. My uncle, Zio Carabino, used to come from Connecticut. I was about 5 or 6 years old. And he used to come and cook this dish. You know, I think when one is cooking, one has to get connected to the food. And using your hands is one good way of doing it.
John also likes to feel connected with his guests while he cooks.
My style of entertaining is to have people come into my kitchen as I'm cooking my food. I give them the appetizers, a glass of wine, and then it involves them in my cooking and the food. And it makes them feel at home.
Eating a meal in this New England cottage by the sea is the perfect escape from a hectic life.
A lot of my urban friends from New York, Boston, love to spend the night here and have me entertain and cook my lobster dinners, and we have a great time. And this is a wonderful place to be, to go to bed at night and listen to the roar of the ocean. This is a place one rebuilds themselves, and it's a place to regenerate. And people spend a weekend here and they go away peaceful.
We visited 2 kitchens today, one soothed by the nearby sea, the other made tranquil by a calm design, and both are great places to unwind with family and friends. Food stylist and recipe developer John Carafoli says there's nothing better than fresh seafood cooked in his Cape Cod kitchen. John likes to keep his cooking tools in easy reach. He hangs utensils on a pot rack for easy access, and he installed open shelving along with a glass front refrigerator so he could see all his supplies at a glance. John also recommends remodeling a kitchen in stages. It's easier on the budget, and it gives you time to figure out how you really use the space before making a big investment. And John fills his kitchen with things that remind him of the people he loves, like his grandparents' cast iron skillets. He says treasured objects give a kitchen meaning and soul. All right, everybody. Kitchen designer John Carafoli's cottage in Cape Cod.
Cottage?
All right, house, wonderful house.
Cottage? It was a cottage at one time.
Where I have found out that lobster really rocks. Huh?
Oh.
I'm Tori Ritchie. I'll see you next time on Ultimate Kitchens.